You are listening to the Atlanta Real Estate Forum radio show, all about real estate edition, shining a light on the movers and shakers in the real estate industry, the home builders, developers, realtors, and suppliers making it all happen.
Good morning and welcome back to Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio. I'm your host, Carol Morgan, and I'd like to recognize our show sponsor, Denim Marketing. It's a company I know a little bit about. At Denim Marketing, we work to make your marketing a comfortable fit. So give us a call if you need original content for social media, public relations, marketing campaigns, blogging, or anything else that you can think of that needs to be written. Today, we're going to talk about land development. I'm going to add the good, the bad, and the ugly because it's gotten to be a very interesting discussion as of late in the Atlanta market. I'm fortunate to be joined in studio today by Myles Cardenas. He is the Senior Land Development Manager for McKinley Homes. So welcome to the show, Myles, and just jump in and tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Thank you, Ms. Carol. I appreciate it. And you're right, land development right now it's been a little difficult. Pricing, just like everything else, has fluctuated since about 3 years ago. So we've been battling a lot of different things. But my name is Myles Cardenas. I'm a Senior Land Development Manager for McKinley Homes. I've been here now for almost 4 years in July. Previously, before coming here to McKinley, I was a member of CalAtlantic and was a part of the CalAtlantic and Lennar merger nationwide. So I started off interning at CalAtlantic Homes my senior year of college at KSU. Soon as I graduated, so I've probably been interning for about a year. About 3 months after I graduated, 4 months after I graduated, the merger was announced and we all became Lennar. So I had the fortunate opportunity of staying on and worked at Lennar for another 2.5 years before I wound up coming to McKinley. So had the opportunity to stay on and do land development at Lennar for a large public builder for quite a while, and then actually built as a construction manager in 2 townhome communities in Druid Hills for about a year before transitioning over to McKinley Homes. So had the opportunity to get some more development experience for the largest national builder at the time, and then construction experience, and have been carrying my development experience into my role here at McKinley.
So you mentioned you went to KSU. What is your degree from KSU? Is it related to construction?
It is. So fortunately, KSU has a program that was a part of the Southern Polytechnic merger, another merger. So I've been a part of a lot of mergers in my time, but Southern Polytechnic had a construction management program, so that got rolled up under KSU during that merger acquisition. So I graduated with the Bachelor of Science in Construction Management from Kennesaw State University.
That's fantastic. Well, give our listeners a 30,000-foot view of McKinley Homes. What do you guys do?
Sure. So McKinley Homes has actually been around for quite some time. I know about McKinley from the earlier stages of growth about 4 years ago when I started, but I've heard that McKinley's been around since 2008. Started off maybe as an investment company. It started doing a few investments here and there, maybe some homes here and there, and then decided to grow their team. So about 4 years ago when I came, which was in 2019 or so, they decided to bring all their land development in-house. So I was a part of a team to help build that mission for us. So we started developing in-house about 4 years ago. Currently, we do everything from single-family homes to townhomes. We're getting into some commercial stuff, so some apartments, some stacked flats here, coming up pretty quickly. Mixed-use projects that include residential and apartments, so residential and commercial. So I've had the opportunity to do a little bit of both since I've been here. So we've done some things all over the state. We're about as far north as Calhoun, but as far south now as Morrow, Georgia. We've gotten into Hampton a little bit on some earlier projects. We're out in Marietta, close to the Braves Stadium. We've been out in Canton for a little while. We're as far east as about Conyers, Covington right now. So we spread out all around Georgia at the moment. We have a new division in North Carolina, in the Raleigh
That's
area.
exciting.
Yep. So we have one or two projects going on in Raleigh right now in the smaller office, and we're looking at some things in Huntsville, Alabama right now. So we've expanded into a couple of different states, and we have a sister company in New York that does some commercial up there. So McKinley is a nice sized company. Does a lot of different things and dipping into a lot of different markets.
Absolutely. Well, how did you get involved or how did you get interested in land development? Talk us through that.
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was at Kennesaw State University, I got involved in the National Association of Home Builders student chapters. We didn't have a chapter at the school at the time, so my mentor and teacher at the time, Dr. Sharna Rogers, she gathered a group of us. I was one of the voluntold students to be a part of the NHB student chapter, and had the opportunity to compete in the residential construction management competition that they do for 4-year schools, 2-year schools, and high schools, in conjunction with IBS every year. So competed in that competition for about 3 years. Doing that competition, just fell in love with residential. I started off actually doing commercial, so I worked for Batson Cook for almost 2 years, and then going into my senior year of college, I decided that I wanted to try something on the residential side. The competition was heavily built on land development, so acquisition all the way through sale and marketing, through development process and putting together budgets and understanding financials and a bunch of different things. So it introduced me to that realm of it.
Yeah.
And then at the time, before CalAtlantic Homes became CalAtlantic Homes, it was Ryland. So Ryland Homes had a table at one of the student competitions and got a chance to talk to a representative from Ryland Homes at the time and told them I was interested in potentially come in to work for them and wanted to get into some land development. And they told me that they'd give me a call back if they had anything to open up. Going into my senior year, had the opportunity about a year after meeting that representative, had the opportunity to go work at Ryland, but then turned into CalAtlantic at the time and started off doing some acquisition stuff. And we had a need in our development department because we were actually working to do some in-house development at the time, and we didn't have that many people in the office to do that. So my boss at the time asked me if I wanted to start doing some development stuff and kind of step out of acquisitions. And I started essentially being a quasi land development manager as an intern in college, and had the great opportunity of getting hired out of school a year after really getting involved in it with only a year of experience, and been doing it ever since. It's
Yeah.
not very common that somebody can be a land development manager with less than 5 to 10 years of experience. So it was a blessing and opportunity for me to be able to do that. I appreciate CalAtlantic Homes and my boss at the time for the opportunity to be able to continue that through where I am now.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a lot of experience in college. A lot
Mhm.
of experience. I didn't realize that you'd work for Batson Cook. That's pretty impressive. And it's so funny. You're sitting here and I'm like, how was that 6 years ago? I remember when you were competing in those, international builder show competitions. And I'm like, wow, it's been 6 years already. So kudos to you. So um, talk a little bit, land development, obviously we alluded to the fact that it's challenging, but what is the most challenging part of your job day to day?
The most challenging part of the land development manager role day to day is every project is new, it's different, a lot of unknowns. Obviously, you go from 2D to 3D very quickly, so everything looks good on paper as it relates to plans and so on and so forth. And then we start getting into the grading and the utilities, and we find things, and that's the biggest part of the job is trying to plan for those things up front, where you don't really know until you start really digging into it,
Yeah.
quite literally. So
Yeah.
when we
Planning
start
for the unknown. Yeah.
yeah, so we try to do everything we can from a due diligence standpoint to be able to identify a lot of the things that we believe will be unknowns. So spend a lot of time and efforts, financially and in engineering, to
Yeah.
see if we can get around some things that we notice when we do find things in the due diligence phase. But everything is so different when you start opening everything up. And then obviously you're dealing with municipalities and inspectors and standards, and obviously for us, we're the biggest part of what happens when it comes to home building. A lot of money gets spent on this side of the business, a lot of time, a
Hmm.
lot of efforts, because it is the stage before the home building process actually starts from a vertical standpoint. So a lot of pressure on us day to day to make sure that we stay on time, stay on budget. We get all the things we need. Final plats obviously are one of the biggest things terminology wise that we need to
Hmm.
we always fight towards to be able to get to that point where building permits can start being pulled. But so many different unknowns, weather obviously.
I think
So
it's saying all the rain, 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 rain
yeah,
that just keeps coming.
yeah, for us around this time of year, winter, the biggest times for us when it comes to crunch time or getting things done before that time is we always try to curve and pave before Thanksgiving
Hmm.
every year, because after Thanksgiving, between that November and April, early April, end of April cycle, is a lot of rain, a lot of cold weather, not much sunshine. So trying to get to those parts and get those parts done between November and April is normally a little bit harder for us.
Right.
So right now for us, that's the challenging part. We have a lot of projects that are at that stage for us right now. We're just trying to get across the finish line, get those
Yeah.
done, and get through the whole process so we can start.
Yeah. Well, what's the most exciting part about land development for you?
The most exciting part, I would definitely say, is the networking.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, in this particular role, there's a lot of opportunity to network and get the chance to learn a lot of the reviewers by name, um, get the chance to work with a lot of engineers, a lot of contractors. So the networking portion of it is one of the more rewarding portions of it, because our relationships on the land development side carry on. So
Hmm.
obviously for us, preferred contractors and those relationships are big for us because we normally ask those guys to go to the next job with us, and try to continue on that relationship going forward, and build a strong contractor base. The
Yeah.
other thing for me is just, as a land development manager, I have the opportunity to see a ton of different jobs. I probably manage throughout the year. If we're really, really busy, I probably manage about 10 to 15 jobs a year at one time.
Wow.
So getting the opportunity to get around to the different jobs, be in the field, talk with the contractors, see what's going on, really understand the process. As a young person, that's been the more fun part for me, because it's a
Hmm.
part of my learning process. A lot of people that have been doing this for years, and have been able to kind of go through the cycles of the industry, and then go through the cycles of what I know now to be development versus what they knew to be development 10, 20 years ago, has been pretty fun for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Well, talk a little bit about how younger people can get involved in the industry. Obviously that's something, we're all trying to attract more, more youth, more younger people to the industry so the industry can carry on. Do you have tips, advice, and ways that, people can help?
Yeah, of course. So for younger professionals that are in the industry, I'm a huge proponent of the Greater Atlanta Home Builders Association. That's where I really got started. Obviously, with NHB student chapters, our local is one of our biggest supports at the college level. So getting involved with the Greater Atlanta Home Builders Association while I was in college was one of the biggest and best things that I feel like I have been able to be able to nurture that relationship from then to now. I can't believe, that relationship started when I was 19 years old, and I'm 8 years later, 9 years later. Um, it's the strongest it's ever been.
Mhm.
But I don't know that I would be able to be doing this without that relationship starting when it did, and being able to meet the people that I've met, like yourself,
Mhm.
um, to be able to talk to, and have mentors and build those relationships. So I would say getting involved with the Greater Atlanta Association, Greater Atlanta Home Builders Association, is the first step. And then obviously for the GHBA, it's one of many local chapters that have an
Mhm.
actual chapter for young professionals. The young professionals group within the GHBA is a safe space for young professionals that are wanting to get into the industry, wanting to make connections, but are nervous to do it on such a larger scale when it comes to getting involved with the GHBA, going to meetings, not knowing who
Mhm.
to talk to. A lot of the younger professionals that we see as part of the young professionals group are new to the industry, or they've been relocated from another market and don't really know anyone, and they're trying to get involved and don't know where to start or who to talk to. And that group is kind of a resource group for young professionals that are in that state of their career. just trying to figure out who to talk to, what events to go to, what events do we think they would benefit from, because there's so many different chapters and councils, and
Oh my
obviously it's
gosh.
hard
Yeah.
to get to that thing. So, just trying to nail down and be a resource group for young professionals. Say, hey, well, what side of town are you on? What are you involved in? Or if you're involved in sales, then getting involved with the Sales and Marketing Council is
Hmm.
probably the best route for you to go. Start getting involved with those events, and obviously stay involved with young professionals. And many of those people come to our events because they want to be
Right.
able to see the younger faces that are in the industry and in the future of the industry. So those are
Absolutely. Yeah. Y'all
those are the
have the
big.
most fun events too. So, we like to hang out at them.
Well, we appreciate that. We normally try to get to all the SMC and the PWB events
PWB. Yeah.
you guys
Right.
have, and essentially that's how Young Professionals started. It started from Elevate, which was a young professionals group under PWB when I was in
Hmm.
college. So that vision actually started with PWB, and it's grown so much since then. So I remember
Yeah.
going to the Elevate events, and I was the only guy. um,
Wow, isn't that interesting? Yeah, Courtney, who works for me, was involved, and I think she was the first chair of Elevate, and now she's chairing professional women in building. So, everything kind of comes full circle. So, very proud of her and her involvement, and getting young professionals involved and being involved as a young professional. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, where, when you guys are developing and you're looking to develop, and where are you looking for land right now? I imagine that's kind of gotten challenging in the Atlanta market too, even just finding land.
yeah, so for us, our price point is kind of in that first time. I would consider first time home
Hmm.
buyer, move up buyer. We don't really do much in the price range above 500.
Right.
So a lot of our markets are really tailored towards where we believe we can sell, and where we can be able to market. We do some for rent projects, so that's also one thing that we're involved in. That we take a look at the market from a rent standpoint, analyze it from that standpoint as it relates to the product that we have and what can rent in that area. So for us right now, is heavily contingent on what we believe our metrics are for being able to get into a market and not be too high in the market to where we're pricing ourselves out and not being able to sell, but then
Right.
also not being too high in the market to be able to appeal to renters in that market.
Hmm.
So, no, for us, we're doing a lot of stuff right now in Gainesville. Um, that area, we've probably got currently right now about 5 or 6 projects,
Wow.
and several of them are very large projects.
Hmm.
Um, we're looking in on the south side of town. So we've got a mixed use project. Well, we've got a commercial project, an apartment project that's coming up in Clayton County in Morrow next to South Lake Mall. Um, we've got a project that's coming up in Fairburn, that is a residential. We've got a project that's coming up in Stone Mountain in the DeKalb area. That's a mix of apartments and townhomes. So, and then obviously we have our own multifamily team here. So
Hmm.
we've got some apartment deals that we've been looking at. We've got an apartment deal that we're getting ready to start in Lithonia, in that market. So we're doing a lot of different things as it relates to the for sale side and the for rent side,
Right. Yeah.
so apartments and condos, and obviously single family.
That's a lot. It's a lot going on.
Yes.
Um, so what should I ask you that I haven't asked you? Is there anything else that you would really like to share with our audience?
That is a good question. So I think obviously right now one of the bigger things that the GHBA and the NHB as a whole has been putting a lot of emphasis on is workforce development and diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yep.
Um, so personally been doing a lot of that with the Greater Atlanta Home Builders Association workforce development program that we're doing with Boys and Girls Club at this level. And then obviously Young Professionals is working on programs with high schools and talking about careers in construction and
Mhm.
skilled trades. So we are doing a lot of different things as it relates to, yes, the house that she built is definitely one of the catapults for several Boys and Girls Club programs across the nation that are working together with local HBAs.
Yeah.
And then the diversity, equity, and inclusion portion of it, the National Association of Home Builders has put together an initiative to focus on HBCUs with construction-related programs, building science, construction management, construction science. So that program is kicking off, and we're traveling a little bit, building relationships with historically Black colleges and universities, and talking to them about construction and the industry, and providing better opportunities for their students to be able to get into the industry and start working, and making sure they have all the resources that they need. So those are definitely two big things. And then,
Absolutely. That's huge.
yes, so it's been keeping me busy for sure.
Good. Oh, I didn't realize that you're very involved in the Boys and Girls Club initiative then.
Yes, so myself and Tony Can at HB
Okay.
Next, we're both
Yeah.
Miss Valerie Braverman at the
Yep.
HBA. We're essentially leading that effort, and this is our first.
Excellent.
Yep, this is our first round. So we started in January and we'll end in mid-May.
Yeah.
We're doing everything from highlighting all the skilled trades from concrete all the way to finishes, and then we're doing some site visits, some
Oh, that's
demos,
great.
bringing different trades in, and different companies in, talk about acquisitions and development a little bit. So really just working with them to introduce them to the process of, taking a lot, identifying that lot, identifying product, and taking that all the way from acquisition to
Mhm.
to close and sell. So
Yeah. And then just identifying all the amazing jobs that are in this industry, and not just jobs, they're careers, and careers they can make a great living in.
yeah,
And especially for women, construction and real estate and home building is one of the only fields that you can earn. I think women are earning 92 cents on the dollar of what men, earn. So
mm,
you get into that, you talk about equity and pay equity. It's a much more equitable field than a lot of other fields for women. And I think we do see more women and more minorities, and just, the industry is definitely diversifying. I go to HBA meetings now, and I'll look around the room and say, golly, I don't know about 20% of these people, and look how young they are. Isn't this fantastic? So I'm really excited, and I credit the Younger Professionals Committee for recruiting those folks and getting them on board and making them feel comfortable coming to all the different meetings. So it's really exciting to see where the industry is going. So thank you for your work with that and your leadership there. And I think, just the fact that you are a young man of color inspires so many people who see you. They're like, oh, wow, he did that. I can do that, you know?
definitely
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
that's what we need. We just need to see that, yes, this is an inclusive industry, and there are people in the industry already who look like me, and I can do that too. So, and that's going to take all of us, so thank you for your
Very-
part in that.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
so, well, where can our listeners go to get more information about McKinley Homes?
Sure. So our website is www.mckinleyhomes.com. So on that website, you can find about the company, who we are. You can also see our active and upcoming neighborhoods, and a little bit more on our website. So that's our website. We're also on LinkedIn at McKinley Homes, and then we're on Instagram at McKinley_Homes. So those are the three social media platforms that I found that we're on. I'm sure we're on more, but those are the three main platforms that I've seen
Excellent. Yeah.
right now.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to say this is a wrap of this week's Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio. I want to thank Myles Cardenas for joining me in studio today, and for McKinley for allowing him to. On behalf of our show sponsor, Denim Marketing, I'm your host, Carol Morgan. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's show, please go on over to iTunes and give us a positive rating and review. If iTunes is not your preferred site, you can also listen to us on Stitcher and Spotify. If you're interested in being on the show, reach out to me at carol@denimmarketing.com and tell me what you'd like to talk about. And I look forward to seeing you right here again next week for our next episode.
Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio is made possible by Denim Marketing, the publisher of Atlanta Real Estate Forum, Atlanta's favorite source for real estate and home building news. Denim Marketing is a comfortable fit, like your favorite pair of jeans. Denim Marketing tailors marketing strategies to meet your specific needs and niche. Try them on for size. They will work to create a perfect fit for your company's marketing program. Call them at 770-383-3360 or send an email to info@denimmarketing.com. For more information on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio or to inquire about being a guest, contact info@atlantarealestateforum.com. Check out the radio show by visiting atlantarealestateforum.com or by listening to the show on your favorite podcast app. And if you enjoyed today's broadcast, we'd sure appreciate a rating and review on iTunes. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Atlanta Real Estate Forum Radio.